Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be checking out my top 10 favorite manga that you should be reading right now. These are all phenomenal series. They're all ongoing, and I do have some honorable mentions to give you guys before we get started with the list. But before that, please like, subscribe to the channel, and if you have comments or stuff you'd like to see on the channel, please leave a comment down below. Let's jump right into the honorable mentions. It goes without saying that there's some manga that if I didn't put on this list, I'd be kind of like attacked for. So this is obvious. If you're not reading One Piece, if you're not reading Boruto, if you're not reading Jujutsu Kaisen, you probably should be. These are musts on the list, and there's some other ones on this actual top 10 list that are very, very well known. But this list is of the series you should absolutely be reading right now. So those honorary mentions are absolutely worth it. They are phenomenal series. They're their own number ones in their own list in their own right. But I wanted to put them here so I can introduce 10 other series to you in case you're not reading them right now, though you might already be. Starting off at number 10 is Susono Fryren. Friren is a really interesting one that is not, it's not entirely original, but it's a concept that I don't think has been explored this well in quite some time. So Friren follows a party that successfully defeated the Demon Lord. It's not about the quest to defeat the great evil, it's about what happens afterwards. They return to the town and they're hailed as heroes, and there isn't some dark fate or some turn of events, some betrayal that takes place. It's just the characters have humans, dwarves, and elves in them, and they don't all live the same amount of time. And as the story goes on, you kind of see some of these characters age and pass on, and the elf woman doesn't quite know how to deal with this. And it's the story of how she goes around and discovers what it is for humans to live such a short life, and the interactions that happened and the stories that are told. When she lives in a life that has 50 years is just another escape for her, when humans are like 50 years, I don't know if I'll still be around. It really forces you to ask some important questions, and some of the interactions in this story are really, really good, guys. If you're not already reading Susono Fryren, it is worth your time, and you should be checking it out right now. At number 9 is Sakamoto Days. We're off to a completely different vibe than the previous one. This is not deep contemplation on the nature of humanity. This is a story about an assassin that was the best of the best that chose to retire because he fell in love with a girl. And the girl's not a big fan of him killing people. He's gained weight. He's this obese guy now, but he's still a badass. And as one of the old hitmen that was under him in the past, like, meets up with him again because basically there's a hit out on Sakamoto himself, shenanigans kind of ensue, and it's just a lot of funny interactions and these crazy badass situations because Sakamoto is a badass, man. Like, the amount of moves with guns, you can see some from the pictures on the screen right now, but like, this series is on point and it's a lot of fun. It's comedy. The relationship, like, he's being a badass during the day and making it home for dinner with his wife, which I think is fantastic, and their kids, and it's just a great story. If you're not reading it, check it out. At number 8 is Gacha Kuda. Gacha Kuda is a new one, and honestly, I think this manga is one to watch out for because I think it's going to be huge in the coming years. Gacha Kuda follows a young, poor boy that's just trying to steal to make a living and to, like, kind of give a gift to a girl around him. And he gets basically falsely accused of a murder and sentenced to death in a giant pit. And while this could be a very typical story, his community shuns him, and as he's sent into the depths of despair, he shouts out that he'll get revenge on every single one of them. But down in the pit is a world all its own. I can't tell you exactly where the story goes because it's really early on, but the art is really good and the storytelling so far has me really riveted to the screen. If you want to get on board of a shonen series that's really probably going to be popping off in the next few years, you should get on Gacha Kuda really early on. I think it's going to be really good, guys, so check it out. At number 7 is dandadan. It's a weird name to say, but it's a really funny series. You have a main character that's a girl, and a guy, two different characters together. The girl is this badass that fights back against situations, who is in love with rugged looking men that are really badasses, and this dorky dude that just happens to try and make friends with this girl who took the time to defend him in a situation. He's obsessed with aliens, she's obsessed with ghosts, and neither of them believe in the opposite thing. Well, in the first chapter, I think it's in the first chapter, He gets cursed by a ghost, and she gets abducted by aliens. It's a weird setup, guys, but you really should be checking this out if you like comedy, crazy shenanigans, and kind of an absurd story. I haven't read far enough to know if like this is going in a love direction, but as friends, they're already kicking so much butt because she's obsessed with a man by a certain name, by Ken something, I don't remember his last name. And his actual full name is exactly that. And it's just tons of these weird coincidences and scenarios. There is a raunchy side to this series, like the curse steals his genitals. It's a weird thing. It's definitely a weird series, but you should be checking it out. It's a lot of fun and it's hilarious. At number 6 is Spy X Family. So you got an Esper, an assassin, and a spy that have to become a family unit in order to be undercover and do what they need to do. But the twist is they don't know about each other. They don't know that each other is in this different role. And it creates tons of these scenarios where they're facing these different issues with their own backgrounds, and they're having to do these secret missions without the other people knowing. And it's a lot of comedy, it's a lot of fun, it's a good heartwarming story at the same time as this family becomes more of a real family unit. And yeah, like if you're not reading this one, I think you should be. There's a great anime coming out. Well, great anime. We'll see if it's a great anime. There's an anime coming out of it, and I'm really excited to be checking it out. Actually, it might be running right now, and I'm not even sure. But the manga is definitely worth checking out. It's a lot of fun. The series is great. The art is a little different than what I'm used to. However, I really enjoy it. And I am looking forward to them finding out about each other, because it has been a while that they don't know about each other. At number 5 is Tokyo Revengers. You probably already know about Tokyo Revengers, but let me tell you about it anyway, because that's why I'm here. Tokyo Revengers follows a main character that's kind of having a shitty life. He feels like he could have done more, and he let people down in his life, and he gets pushed into a oncoming train, and he gets the chance to time travel back. And as he time travels back to his younger self, he's given an opportunity to fix things, and everything he changes now affects the future as he goes back and forth between the present and the future, the present and the past, technically. And this interaction means that sometimes he changes stuff and things get even worse in the future, and then he has to go back and switch it around again. Like, the interactions and the way the character relationships are built in the story are really good. The ensemble cast is crazy huge. My only issue is sometimes I forget which character is which, because there's some character designs that are a little similar. But that being said, they're super engaging. Mickey, Draken, everyone is really, really riveting to watch, and the action in this one is still pretty darn good for a bunch of kids fighting. So if you're not checking it out, go for it. At number 4 is Vinland Saga. Vinland Saga is a tale of so many emotions. From what it is at the beginning to what it is at the end is a completely different story. If you watch season 1 of the anime and you're thinking that's what the whole series is like, you're gonna be in for something really particular, because the story shifts completely in its type later on, and where it's at now is just this really good feeling that you get as characters are coming back together after betrayal and different miseries have gone on. This is not a story with all these happy endings. There's definitely a lot of challenges in this one, but because of that, the characters are so good. The main character goes through such a roller coaster of emotions through the first arc and onwards as he tries to find who he actually is beyond revenge. And that is something that is really cool. It starts off with the setup of a child that has his father murdered in front of him in a Viking-like war, and, well, a duel technically. And in that scenario, he has to find out where he stands, because now he's joined the crew of the murderer, and he has both this hate, desire for revenge, but a kind of a deep admiration for him at the same time. And that pull and push is really interesting to watch as the story goes on. At number 3 is Kingdom. Kingdom is the manga I have been reading probably for the longest time. It's at 700 and something chapters now, and Kingdom is a masterpiece, pure masterpiece. It follows the period of the Warring States in China, and it goes through the whole period of the unification of China. Obviously, some historical liberties were taken in this story, but that's what's fun. You follow a main character that started off as a slave and becomes a soldier, and as he slowly rises the ranks within the military with his ally that's the king, the emperor actually, and they try to unify a China that is broken up into different states with different peoples and different beliefs and different everything. And this whole war-ridden story is so engaging as characters are defeated, killed, others rise up through the ranks and become more important. The storytelling is really good, but I have to say the war and the art is so good. Yes, there's an anime of it. No, I have not watched it. There's 3D animation in it, and I refuse. I cannot do it. But that being said, the manga is my longest running manga that I've been reading ever since it came out. It is so, so good, and you should be reading it right now. At number 2 is Kaiju number 8. I'm not going to lie. I may have only started reading this recently, but it is so good. I know I'm so late on the boat on this one, guys. It's been out for years. But Kaiju number 8 follows a world where there's basically monsters, and the main character wanted to be part of the defense force. He did everything he could to pass the examinations. He never quite got there. He's not as good as he wanted to be. And this girl that he was in love with as a kid, she's in the defense force. They were supposed to get in together, but he hasn't managed to do it yet. And when he's faced with an attack, and he does everything he can to defend himself and defend his fellow workers, he's kind of sent to the hospital and then infected by one of these monsters, and he becomes Kaiju number 8, so the 8th monster, if you will. And he is a complete badass, but he has to hide it, because if they find out that he's a Kaiju, they will hunt him and kill him. And it creates a lot of push and pull situations and challenges as he faces trying to join the defense force as a monster, but at the same time trying to hide the fact that he's a monster because he doesn't want to get killed. It's really good. The action is so good. He's so overpoweredly strong. It's One Punch Man level, overpowered, at least in the early chapters. But it is such a fun series. The character interactions are really funny and a lot. So good. It's excellent. Go for it. At number 1 is completely different than everything else, and that's Blue Lock. Blue Lock is, without a doubt, my favorite manga right now. It is a soccer manga, or football manga, if you want to call it that. It is a masterpiece of art, of basically shonen action type series. Every game is designed and drawn in a beautiful style. If you don't think you'll like a sports manga, you should give this a try. It is different than what you think it is, because sports mangas are a lot like shonen series. They follow a character as he rises up and becomes more powerful. But in this case, there's such an intricate design made to every person's style and style of play that make every character really unique and really distinguished easily among others. The black and white paneling looks amazing, but each chapter has this beautiful colored paneling at the bottom, at least in more recent chapters, and it is stunning, guys. If you're not checking that one out, you should be. That's my top 10 list, guys, of the mangas you should be reading right now. Obviously, there's a ton of other ones that you could be reading right now, and I'm sure you'll recommend some down below that are phenomenal you should be reading as well right now, because there are hundreds, literally, you could be reading right now. Beyond that, though, please do subscribe to the channel, like the video, and also leave comments down below on stuff you'd like me to do in the future. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a great day.